Okay, once again, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pablo. I have my colleague Priscilla as as a moderator as well. My colleague Priscilla has been coordinating faculty-led sessions, and many faculty from across the disciplines have been reaching out to volunteer and provide some guidance, expertise as we transition to distance learning. We thank Jennifer from the business department for doing this. A couple of logistics, as Priscilla said, we're going to mute our microphones for the time being. If you have any questions, make sure that you check out the chat room. There is a button at the bottom that says chat. You can always post questions as we move along. Priscilla and I will be monitoring those, and there will be a time for asking questions and sharing additional information as well, okay? We're also recording this session. We're going to be making this available to everyone. We're expecting to be here for about an hour, and we're going to record this, and we're going to make it available via YouTube so that other people who may not have been able to join will be able to watch this session on YouTube as well. All right. So Priscilla, I don't think I forgot anything. Is that right?
No, that's great.
All right. So I will turn it over now to Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Pablo. And thank you to Priscilla for both moderating this. Priscilla for moderating the chat section, and for Pablo helping with all tech and being the host here. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this course here, specific workshop, Converting Your Course for Distance Learning. I'm Jennifer Arroyo from the Business and Technology Department. So I want to make this as smooth and easy as we can, being the situation that we're in right now. So essentially, some of these objectives. So these are kind of the 3 points that I wanted to discuss with you all today. Just organizing the course content, and specifically, I'm going to be using Blackboard as our preferred platform. Next, communicating with students online, and then developing some good discussion board prompts as well. And then, like Priscilla said, we'll leave time towards the end for some Q&A, or you can, if you come up with a question, you can just use the chat section, and Priscilla will be able to answer that. So with organizing the course content, again, we're utilizing the Blackboard platform. And, I think the quickest and most useful way to get your content online is to have your syllabus as your guide. Let's be honest, we don't have a lot of time to really map this out. So let's try to keep it simple, using your syllabus to your advantage and using it as a guide. Now, you can't really dump everything you would do in a face-to-face or your whole course onto an online environment. Some things just may not translate well. Maybe the instructions are a little bit harder, and it's always easier, being able to explain that face-to-face. So maybe you can accompany some assignments with some brief recorded instructions, or really just making your instructions as clear, concise as possible for your students. So I think following your syllabus is probably maybe a good first step for you, and then really kind of combing through it to see how you can map that onto your Blackboard course. So throughout the presentation, I'll show you some screenshots, and actually we'll go on a Blackboard course so you can kind of have some visual as to what I'm talking about. I think really important thing to understand when mapping out your course and transferring it on to Blackboard specifically is putting yourself in the student's shoes, the student's perspective, making it user-friendly. Like I said, keeping it simple, being organized is extremely important. Being able to manage folders, documents accordingly are really, really important as well. So once you've kind of completed and added stuff on your course, the Blackboard course, just go through it really, and click on things and go through the courses if you want to have the student's perspective. I think that's probably your best bet. So this is a kind of a screenshot here on one of my courses. I added some things to the content area, but here I kind of have like an announcement section in the contents. I'm personally divide my courses, the class in weekly assignments. So I do my folders by week. You may want to do something where it's by chapters. So I'm actually gonna kind of go back and forth with the slide and our, if you don't mind, and our course on Blackboard. So what I have here on Blackboard, automatically by default, you'll have a content page. And I just added some stuff. You want to just upload your syllabus, maybe ways that the student can contact you. And if you wanted to be able to have your folders by week, this can be one way of doing it. So I won't get into too specifics on actually how to do it. I mean, we have, Pablo and his team have created a lot of Blackboard webinars and instructions on how to do this specifically, but I just wanted to give you a visual and how it may look. So if I clicked on this, I have other folders. So this is just, you know, again, putting yourself in the student's perspective. How many clicks do I have to do to open up this document, right? Is it too many? And if it's not user-friendly, it may be something that would be difficult for our students. So I have here assignments, you know, I have here an actual assignment. I go back. If you're opting or wanting to do some recorded lectures or even just putting up PowerPoint slides, you can do that as well, okay? Go back here. Oops, didn't want that. All right, so I just wanted to give you a visual of how you can kind of set up your course on Blackboard. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to discuss is communicating, and we'll go back to any visuals if any question that you have on how I created those things, but communicating with students is absolutely important. And it's critical in an online course. It really is our guiding principle of teaching and learning. Yet because of our situation, we lack the ability to see the nonverbal cues from our students, right? Are they bored? Are they looking at their phone? We don't see that, okay? So how can we connect to our students? How can we connect with our students in an online classroom? Prompt feedback is super, super important. I can't stress to you the importance of having that feedback. And the prompt feedback is really less about the time between student and faculty interaction and more about expectations. When, where, how will the student get feedback from their assignments or questions? How can they contact you? How quickly will you respond to them? Sorry about that. Whether you teach, you know, asynchronously, I can't ever say that word.
It's hard.
Oh gosh, you know what I mean.
Asynchronously.
Asynchronous and synchronous. You need to make sure that your students understand the communication expectation of the class.
Can I just raise my hand here for 1 second, Jen? Because I'm not sure that everyone will know what you mean when you say asynchronously and synchronously. Could you just unpack that a bit?
Sure, thank you. So asynchronously is essentially not in real time, right? So I can create or maybe record a lecture and just upload that lecture onto, let's say, Blackboard, for instance, so that the students can access that recording or assignment, you know, at their earliest convenience. Synchronously is essentially meeting at a specific time, either online or obviously face-to-face, and discussing, you know, having the discussion or the class during that time. Some faculty members may want to still do the synchronous type of methodology. You know, personally, because I've done online courses in the past, as well as hybrid courses, I find that conducting your online courses asynchronously is just a little bit easier, and easier in the sense of the amount of time that I have to prepare for a specific, you know, assignment or create or record a lecture. And then the student, you know, they have the ability or the flexibility to view that anytime they want to. They could view it from their phone on the train home. They could view it if they're a night owl, you know, in the middle of the night when everyone's asleep. So I just find that to be a little bit easier. Personally, I don't know
And
if you want to add anything to that.
yeah, I would like to add something to that because I think it also depends on what you're doing with your students and also your particular approach to teaching. And tomorrow we're going to have a session that you will be co-leading with your colleague Neetu Kaushik from Social Science, specifically about synchronous versus asynchronous learning, the how and the why.
Yes.
So if you want more detail on that,
register for the webinar.
Yeah.
So whether you're deciding to choose whichever methodology, it's really important that your students understand that communication expectation. You know, stating the time frame for responses to emails, discussions, and providing assignment feedback is key. And while the course site in Blackboard is open 24/7, you will not be a 24/7 instructor. Right? It's really, it can really be easy to kind of go down the rabbit hole and feel like you have to respond to every single thread or email instantly. Give yourself a time and set that expectation beforehand with your students, you know, via email or an announcement on Blackboard or, you know, whatever platform you decide to use. I think that's really important to remember, especially this time where we're still trying to figure things out, mapping out how we're going to, you know, be doing this online teaching. If you've never done it before, it's not that easy to do, okay? So in going on, keep going with this communication with the student, I think creating community within the class is important. I mean, you do that, it's easier to do that obviously in face-to-face. Students come to you, you know, you see their facial cues, you kind of have a rapport with them over the semester. And oh, someone's writing.
I think everyone maybe just got an emergency alert. I did from the city.
Oh boy.
Yes, but it's just a generic learn how to spread the virus.
Oh yes, it's not
Learn how to spread the virus.
No, Lord, don't. We don't want to spread the virus.
Not to spread the virus.
Learn how not to.
Right. So it's not anything that we to stop this webinar, but okay. So I think this is an important topic, and I feel that since many of you and our students have been kind of thrusted into this online environment with very little experience on how to navigate it, I think that being able to still somehow create the community online is vital to ensuring a successful class and course, and that your students are successful in your course. So ensuring a safe space, communicating with a warm but professional tone, and being present. And I'll go through each one. You know, with ensuring a safe space, I mean, we do that in our classrooms, right? You know that, you know, students can come to us for questions, they can email us, they can come see us during our office hours. You know, we're here to help them, and they need to feel that and know that. Because everything is online and our communication is via Blackboard or email, and, you know, ensuring that the communication is a warm one, but a professional tone, nothing condescending or sarcastic. And I'll talk a little bit more about being present as well. So I'm not sure if anyone ever heard this term netiquette, okay? So it's derived from network etiquette. And these are just certain guidelines, essentially the correct or acceptable way of communicating on the internet. So some guidelines to communicate in the online area. And there are many, many resources online. You know, maybe we can compile something together for our faculty, but you can just research it online, quickly Google, you know, netiquette, and you'll get a whole bunch of articles on top 10, you know, netiquette guidelines and things like that. But some examples can be, you know, obviously being respectful and courteous and professional towards one another. Reading before posting a reply to a discussion board thread. Don't type in all caps, because that means you're yelling, if you didn't know. So this netiquette is important as well. And I find that I actually, for my online class, put this in my syllabus so that the students understand that there is an expectation of having that this is a space where everyone's going to be respectful, courteous, and professional. So this is a big one, being present. So maintaining some kind of presence in the class. And that could be anywhere from, replying to discussion boards, the feedback that I was talking about earlier. And you want to pick and choose where to insert your voice. Again, you're not a 24/7 instructor. So you want to ensure that you're replying or you're inserting your voice enough so that students that know that you're still there, right? If they feel that you've kind of, well, I've posted up, I've uploaded documents and assignments, I'm good, I don't have to look at anything or reply, students will figure that out and they'll get that feeling eventually. And then they'll stop caring because they feel that the professor has stopped caring. And we don't want that. So we want to be present. Picking and choosing where we insert our voice, either through discussion board, threads, the responses, follow-up questions. I personally have a discussion board thread that simply just says ask instructor/students, where students can just create a thread where they'll ask specific questions. If it's not too personal, if they go straight to me in an email. And I'm able to respond to those questions, or a student can respond to those questions. And they know I'm there. They know that I'm watching and that I'm being present. And I think that's really, really important. And I know we have other things going on as well. So it's really easy to kind of forget, like, oh, I need to log on to Blackboard. It's been maybe 2 days, right? So just like as we tell students to manage their time effectively, I think it's important for us to do the same. I have, we have families, personal lives, responsibilities, maybe another job that we have to go to. I use my smartphone's calendar as a notification, as a reminder. On Tuesdays, Tuesday, Thursday, Fridays, at this time, I'm going online Blackboard, I'm grading, I'm, providing feedback, whatever the case may be. So I think that's important to create that, that kind of schedule for yourself. Okay, so we're jumping then into, am I good on time? Am I going too fast? And I mean, do I answer questions live now, or just going through the chat?
You are welcome, whatever you want to do. If you want to open it up for questions, that's fine. I know that Eleanor had a question, which is more of a technical question, or you can go ahead. It's up to you, whatever you want to do, Jen.
I mean, we can do a few questions now.
Okay,
we're doing good on time, by the way.
Yeah, we're good.
Great. So Eleanor had asked, can my assignments be submitted through content? I guess she meant the content link that you had meant, that you had showed us. Okay,
so I'm back here in the content tool. So I actually have an assignment here. So in week 1, I personally like to make an assignment folder. You don't have to, but I click on here and I create an assignment. And you can just see here, I clicked on here and an assignment, and then I go through the prompts.
I think she was asking about Eleanor, if you want to unmute yourself so we can clarify this. Were you asking about how students would submit their work, or how you would put up your assignments for them?
No, because when I first inquired about Blackboard, they said content. They didn't mean assignments. I don't even know if my students, who are most people, will know even how to use Blackboard. So I maybe I'll put it in both places to be safe. So they check the assignment or they check content, they'll find it.
So I actually have something. I personally, you can rename this. You can rename this to whatever you want. So I go ahead and rename this to like modules or weekly assignments. Oh. So it's a little bit easier, word-wise, so students can understand. Yeah. Oh, this is where I go to look at my assignments, right?
That makes sense.
So then, if I clicked on that, then obviously it changed it, and then they know, okay, so this is the week 1, week 2, or whatever it is. If I go back to the screenshot I have of one of my courses here, see, I added some stuff. I added instructor information. I added the announcements. I even here, getting started, click here. So I stressed that the first week of class, for my online class. If you're having questions or trouble, go to the getting started link, and there I have my syllabus, a welcome video, you know, different things that can, maybe like a frequently asked questions, you know, Blackboard help, things like that. So you can go ahead and rename these links and add more if you wanted to.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful.
And we have another question from Nancy about how you would upload a video that you pre-recorded.
So I personally use, and that's something that we'll discuss in the next webinar tomorrow, I personally use a Screencast-O-Matic to record my lectures. So something I can't show right now, or is not part of the presentation, but I know the college, we've had a number of webinars on the Blackboard Collaborate, which is a recording feature and tool within Blackboard that you can use as well. I just always use Screencast, so I already have a whole library of different video recordings already. So Screencast-O-Matic is just another way, another software tool. But again, if you really are looking to record your lectures, there are many tools, but Blackboard Collaborate is one of them as well. So I'm sure there's a list or an actual page, Pablo, where all those webinars and recordings will be housed so that they can kind of filter through and look at them.
Yes, all of these webinars are being recorded and will be made available to everyone.
So that's
and I know that Milena Cuellar is going to, one of the cool tools that she'll be talking about on Thursday with her Active Learning with Cool Tools is Screencast-O-Matic. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out, and we'll have it up online if you can't make her session.
And if there's also someone else from a different discipline who may be using Screencast-O-Matic in a very different way as well, feel free to reach out to Priscilla, because the more the merrier. We're looking for multiple examples of using the same tool.
Absolutely. That would be great.
I think we can do one more question and I can continue on.
Okay. Miriam asks, how do you create a folder within content?
Okay. So remember, I changed content to weekly assignments, but it's the same link there. So creating a folder, we're going to go to the build content, and you see here that says content folder. And I just, whatever folder I want it to be called, whatever the name is. So we'll just, I don't know, we'll just say folder. Not very creative right now. It's been a long day. And then even here, you can add a little something, instructions, whatever the case may be. You have some options here to actually view it. So the users obviously are the students, if they can view it or not. Or you can even select certain dates. Well, I want them to view it, but maybe not right now. Maybe on a specific date, you know, right? And then you just submit it. And then I just created my folder. And then now I can click in the folder and add more content and subfolders. And it can continue on and on. Okay.
Great, thank you. So I think if you want to keep going for a while, then we'll take more questions later.
Okay. So discussion prompts, discussion boards. So I think utilizing the discussion board within Blackboard will be a great and useful tool for faculty to continue that conversation. So you can see here, you know, discussion prompts are the written springboard from which online discussions are launched and are essential to encourage shared understanding. And so effective online discussion prompts provide a frame of reference through, shared experiences and learning activities. So some rules, I kind of put up some rules here for creating prompts. Some of you are already probably doing this in the face-to-face class and in some way, shape, or form. Number one, making the prompt relevant to your course content. Two, make the prompt current, such as something recently in the news. I personally like to utilize a lot of current events and articles in my discussion board prompts. And lastly, add in a learner choice by allowing students to select from 2 alternative discussion topics. I do this sometimes where I'll have a discussion for a particular, for a topic, a chapter that we did that week. And there are 2 different sets of discussion board prompts or questions. And then I'll ask them, they can choose which one they want to actually reply to. So maybe just giving them a bit of an option. You don't really have to do that, but sometimes I throw that in there just, to be a little bit different week to week. But there are many creative ways to which, this context can be brought to bear. For instance, discussion prompts may involve or invoke some kind of a personal experience. Maybe you can use a TED Talk or a YouTube video, some kind of hypothetical scenario, as well as, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. Like I said, opinions, TED Talks, YouTube videos. I find that those things are very helpful as well. Bear with me here. Sorry about that. So some ideas here, okay? In addition to what I've just mentioned in regards to videos and things like that, but some applications. So engaging in some kind of, application encouraging higher order thinking, role playing, okay? Maybe they can assume a fictional or non-fictional person and speak from their point of view. Again, this is based on what you're teaching, what your course is, what the content is. And I do a lot of scenario. I pose a real life scenario for students to address. I do teach a business course, so I'll use a lot of case studies that are actually real life case studies, businesses that have, different scenarios that have happened to different businesses. And I think that it also gives them some insight and provides, a good tool for them to go through. So I just have some references again. Maybe I can give Pablo like just a copy and paste this to like a Word document so you can have it, so you don't have to like take a picture of it or write down the URL. But I just found some of these references, these links to some of these references, and really useful. So I'll kind of create that for Pablo to put also on the same page where all the other recordings are going to be. So I guess I was going through this fairly quickly. I'm almost done. So I'll go through this, and then I guess we can leave the remaining of the session to any kind of questions and things like that. But some final thoughts here. As educators, we strive to create a positive experience for our students, regardless of the situation or circumstance, obviously. And I just want to remind you all, one day, 1 week really isn't enough time to plan an online course. And that's speaking from experience. So just don't be too hard on yourself. The teachers who teach virtually as their career, we spend months planning, examining resources, recording videos, and mapping out, how, each module or folder is going to look like. This is not the same things, nor should it be. So we really have had very little planning and teaching almost simultaneously while we're kind of working through figuring out, this online environment. So I just want to leave that thought with you guys, that keep it simple. Don't be too hard on yourself. We have so many resources of great faculty members, and the CTL have been giving us so much resources and references. It is a lot, so to comb through, but it's something that we have. That we're not trying to leave you in the dark. We want you to be successful. We want our students to be successful, in this semester and beyond. So I just want to say you got this. You definitely got this, and I'll leave some at this time. I'll leave for Q&A. We can do some technical stuff if we have to, or if you have any questions.
Great. Well, there are some questions in the chat. There's a question from Charity. She's trying to attach some files. They're all Word files. And she's on a Mac, and she was not, I think she wasn't able to attach them. So maybe you could show us how to do that?
Sure. I have a Mac at home. I find it to be similar for a PC and a Mac. Is the platform still the platform? It doesn't change with you know, whatever computer you're using. So I'm in the weekly assignments or content, when you go on content link here, to add or upload a document. I mean, really easy. You can just go to build content and you can click on the item, and anything with the orange asterisk is something that you have to fill in. So I'm just gonna, you know, maybe just do assignment, right? And this is where maybe you have instructions within the text box here. You know, you can make it big or small. There's a toolbar here if you wanted to make it bold. Then if you scroll down here, if you're attaching something, then you're just gonna go to browse my computer, and just like with anything else, you know, find where you've saved those files and attach it on here. You can even click and drag those files into this perforated box here as well. And then you're able to submit that. So once you've submitted, obviously I didn't add anything here, but you'll see the link or the attachment on here as well. If once you created this and you just needed to edit something, or you misspelled something, or the file that you attached was incorrect, just simply go back to that drop down arrow, edit, and you can add it. Another way to add an attachment or link or something is, you see here in the toolbar, this little insert file, a clip art, paper clip, I should say, and you can click on that and you see the same buttons as the attachment options. So you would just browse your computer, find your file, and press submit. Hopefully that answers your question.
Does that answer you, Charity? And you could unmute.
Yes.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, thank you. This is amazing. So I was just in the process of typing in. I tried everything that you just showed.
Oh boy.
I
Okay.
had a vague memory of doing this 2 years ago when I taught a course using Blackboard. I'm presuming it has something to do with my Macintosh or my browser that I'm using. Do you have any recommendations?
I'm gonna probably refer that to Pablo then. I don't know if you, he's the tech guy here.
From what I remember from the sessions that we've had with Jose and Jedmir, they recommend using Firefox or Google Chrome.
Okay, I am in Chrome. Well, actually, you know what? I was in Chrome, and I always have trouble getting into Blackboard and CUNY first from Chrome. So I tend to go through Safari. Don't laugh at me. So I was going through Safari, so maybe that's the problem.
Yes.
Can
normally, when I just wanted to mention, normally whenever I have a problem with an issue with a tool, the rule of thumb, it's always to switch browsers.
Okay. So how come I have trouble logging into cuny.edu through Google Chrome?
Ooh, that's a bigger question to IT. I honestly don't know. I know there's different tools like CUNY that work better in certain browsers.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the specifics, unfortunately.
So Charity, I'm a Google Chrome kind of gal all the way myself. And I do find that when I log into Blackboard and I know I entered the password correctly, it'll give me like, I did it incorrectly. And I will do it twice. And then that third time with the same password that I did, it'll, for whatever the reason, I'm able to log in.
Yeah, so I've had that experience too. I guess I should just be more patient with Google Chrome. But clearly, everyone, that's a bug, isn't it?
That's a bug, for sure. Yeah.
Spat out again right at the get-go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll try that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So there are a few people that are requesting to see the Wiki tool. I don't know if you would want to show that. And also someone asking, what is Wiki?
So Wiki is something that essentially, Pablo can jump in as well, but we can, as users, we can just go onto this one document and edit and modify almost at the same time. So unlike an actual Word document where once I'm done, then I save it and then I send it to you as an attachment, Then you look at it, you make your corrections, you send it back to me. So instead of doing all that back and forth, students can use this wiki. I personally don't use the wiki as much, just for my course. But students are able to, in real time, edit and just different types of documents. I mean, there's also like, I think Google, what is it?
Google Docs.
Google Docs, right. So
Yeah.
in Google Docs, we all have access to this one document, and you can see that someone has edited something. It'll give you the person's name, the time that they edited something. So you can see that in real time, people are actually working on this document.
Yeah, so it's a collaborative writing tool, and it can be a publishing tool as well. So for example, if you wanted to have your students do a group project and they were doing research together and writing together, and you wanted to, they could either just show it to the class or they could actually publish it.
Right. So on here, on our particular course here, we don't have the wiki link set up, so I'm gonna just do that. Right. I mean, again, where you can help me out here, Priscilla. Is there? I'm sure it's over here as well under the.
Well, I have not used Blackboard's wiki. I just know what a wiki is. So.
Yeah. So I think I'll just do it this way. So really quickly, I just want to make sure you guys are aware. So to add something that, on here on this is called the content area. To add the wiki, I just went to this like a little plus sign on the upper left-hand corner, and I chose tool link. And I went straight to type. So you see all the different types of tool links, and I scrolled all the way down, and there was wikis. And then you have the option of, renaming it to whatever you want, but I just obviously chose wikis again. So that's where I am. So when I click on it, the student can, or you can create a wiki. And as you can see, it's kind of similar format to, uploading a document or things like that. There's the name, there's the text box, there's the types of options here. You can see here the wiki participation. So it's open to editing, or is it closed to editing? Maybe, maybe you have a set deadline and then you want to close it out so that students can't access, or edit, I should say, the document anymore. And then do you want to grade this, right? And so if I did this, if you want to grade it, what's the grading? 5 points. And then what's the due date? Okay. So this right here is important for you is important for you to know. So in the grade book, students will see this, and it just means that on your end, you have to grade that assignment. So that's this little, yellow exclamation point there. And then submit it. Oh, I didn't put a name. Let's put testing. So this is the wiki I created. If a student goes into this page, this is just the content. I guess they can add the document on here, or
just right in there.
Or just right in here.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just gonna do all these kind of things here. And it's very similar to kind of like a discussion board thread, just visually, I should say. So this is kind of how it looks. I'm sorry, I don't have too much experience in doing wikis, but at least going through it, you can kind of see how it was created, and then how students can enter that wiki and make the edits as see fit. If you're gonna be bold and want to do like groups and stuff, there's an option that allows wikis within the groups for students, and they can just upload documents and have that that collaborative effort with the document.
So Marie was asking if you ever use blogs in your classes, and if so, how? And Miriam was asking if faculty are expected to teach students how to use Blackboard.
So I personally have never used blogs, so I can't give you any feedback on that. I know for a fact that the Blackboard help, and that's maybe something that we can have on the same page with all the recordings about specifically about creating a blog, managing the blog, so on and so forth. If you want that blog to be, graded or not, those are those kinds of options. But personally, I've never done a blog. And I think it's important. I was telling a faculty member this. We can't really assume that, you know, oh, all students, you know, all these young students here, they're very tech savvy, they get it, they know what to do. We really can't assume that. So when you're going about your instructions, you know, writing your instructions, you have to be very clear, and you can't assume that your students know what you're talking about. So if for whatever reason you're getting students that are just like, Professor, I don't know, I've never done Blackboard, I did just one semester, I'm kind of bugging out right now, I don't really know what to do. I mean, I think the best bet is to kind of gear them towards a resource page or Blackboard help. I think it just takes too much of our time to really sit with them and go through every aspect of Blackboard. But me personally, in my online classes, I'll do a brief welcome video and a recording on just how the Blackboard page looks. You know, I'll say, you know, this, you know, students, this is where you're gonna go for your weekly assignments, this is your discussion board. I'll do maybe a quick video on that just so they can have a visual of it. And I'll send that to them. And, you know, if they need, you know, further help, I'm there to help them. Obviously, once it gets a little bit too technical, then maybe I'll refer them to, you know, the resource page or Blackboard help that we have on campus. Hopefully that helps answer your question.
So should we just open it up now and people can unmute and just ask questions?
Sure.
All right, anybody got a burning question?
I have.
I do. Yeah.
I have.
Jennifer, could you show us how you upload your video?
Okay, it's very similar as you would upload a document or any kind of attachment. So I make my videos, they're MP4s. You know, I save them on my desktop or you know, you have a folder, you know, recordings or something like that.
They're
And
MP what?
MP4s or MP3s. So when you create a video, that's the, you know how when you create a Word document at the end is a .doc. That's the extension.
File format, yeah.
Right, that's the file format. So the .mp4 is just a file format. And just like a PDF or a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet, you can just upload that as an item. And if I said, you know, chapter 1 recording, okay? And then I'll scroll down here and I'll browse my computer, you know, and maybe you have something already. Wherever it is that you have saved, that's where you would go and attach that here. So once you know you did it the correct way, you'll have your attachment here. So I'm obviously not going to attach a.
And could you show us how you make that?
So I can't really show you because that's a whole other that's a whole other webinar for sure. And I think, like as Priscilla said, I forget who's presenting on Thursday, the cool tips.
Cool tools, Milena.
Milena, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she'll show you some of these recording and editing tools to help you, you know, create a really general video, you know, for your class. One thing I would suggest when you do, and I'm sure Milena will discuss this as well, I'm a firm believer in micro-learning. I don't think that you should be creating videos that are 15, 20, an hour long. That's just not going to be effective. And, you know, let's be real, students are not going to retain that. They're not going to sit, especially if they're home and there's a lot of distractions, they're just not going to sit at their computer or smartphone or whatever, or tablet for that whole hour. So I'm a firm believer in micro-learning. So I create, and this is hard for me because then you have to really strip down like, what do you want the student to get from this chapter? And if there's multiple things, well, then you create multiple smaller videos. So most of my videos don't go longer than 8 minutes. I think the most video time that I've done on a video is about 15 minutes. And that was stretching it for me personally. If you're able to create something, so if I did something like, let me go back here. So you see how I did the folder for week 1, Nancy, here?
Yeah.
Oops, you see how I have recordings and slides? So once I click on this, I'm adding my content here. So this is for chapter 1, all my slides. So I can do, you know, what course do you teach?
Oh, I was, my course, Oral Interpretation of Literature. I was just wondering how I could demonstrate a couple of things, and but I'll do it Zoom maybe.
Yes.
And then also, where can I get them to upload their presentation? Now, someone told me I could use a forum, and they can upload their presentation on that under
Are
group.
those video presentations?
Yeah.
So if you don't have enough space on Blackboard, you know that we have, through CUNY, we have access to Dropbox, and a lot of storage space on Dropbox. So you can have them upload to Dropbox.
Oh, okay.
That might be another solution that could work.
Thanks.
Sure. And then I see people are also asking about attendance for online courses. Jen, do you have any tips?
So with the attendance, I know for online, we have it set that, you know, when you go to the web attendance, it's set for Sundays. So between the Sunday and the previous Sunday, if they've logged on to Blackboard, if they've completed an assignment within that time frame, that's marked as attending online. So it's not like you're every day or every time you were supposed to meet in the face-to-face or hybrid that you take your attendance. It doesn't work that way in the online environment. So, I mean, I think there is an attendance a tool on Blackboard. I don't think we use it because we use the web attendance. So, for example, if I go to, see here under the management section, Grade Center, I don't have any students on here, but if I clicked on Grade Center, I would have all my students here, their names, right? And then their grades. There's a column that says last access. So then I would see when they last logged on to Blackboard. And then in my grading process, I'll see if they actually did something within that week. And that's me necessarily marking them as being present, quote unquote. So that's, I mean, if someone has something different and or if they do something, if they know an actual different protocol, please let me know. But this is what I've been doing. This is what I've been told to do. There isn't an attendance section on Blackboard.
I have a class 4 days a week, and I have no idea how to mark them absent or present. Some days I give them assignments, some days no. Some days they can come on board and sometimes no. What do I do?
So I personally, when I'm giving an assignment, I give them, for my online class, you have a week to complete the assignment.
And then I have to mark them present for the whole week?
Right, so you mark, so the moment that they've completed an assignment within that week's time frame is essentially you've marked them present for that week.
What if some work they do and some work is incomplete? Then I mark like 2 days absent and 2 days present?
No, you would just, they've just been present for that time frame. It's hard, it's different because you're thinking of face-to-face where, okay, we meet Tuesday, Thursdays, you come Tuesday, present, you don't come Thursday, absent. That doesn't work on the online environment. So it's just, I can't show you obviously my web attendance, but for my online course, you know, versus my hybrid course, or it used to be hybrid course, we met every Tuesday, Thursday. So obviously I made attendance for Tuesday, Thursdays, and it showed. But for my online, it was only on Sundays. Sundays was my only day where I went in and I gave myself a specific time. Sundays, I don't know, 8 p.m., 10 p.m. And if I logged on and I logged in here and I saw one, they accessed the Blackboard within the week, right? Within the week that I gave them the assignment initially. And if they actually completed the actual assignment or an assignment. If I gave them more than one assignment, I don't know if someone can add something to that, but I personally, if they complete an assignment, they were present, quote unquote, online, virtually, that's them marking them as present, even if they did one of the two assignments.
Okay.
So, Jean?
Hi.
Jean? Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. I know that when we can add an assignment on the Blackboard, we can give them a time for it to do it. So you know if the student do it after the due date or before the due date. It's give you the time when he submits his homework, or maybe it will be a quiz.
Yes, so you'll see when the last time the student logged in, the date, the time, and then if they did submit an assignment late in the gradebook section where it says needs grading, you would have, obviously there's nothing here, but you would have your list of students' names and then the name of the assignment and then the date and time that it was submitted, and it'll show you right next to it a little gray button that says late. So you see that they submitted it late. So going back to weekly assignment, I have just an assignment here. I'm just going to edit it just so you can see. So I have the due date as this. So they have until up to 11:59 p.m. on the 23rd to complete it. Okay. And I gave them the points or whatever the case may be. And I made the assignment available. So if they submitted at the 24th at 12:05 a.m., then it's considered, late, and it'll mark that as late.
Can I ask you a question? How would you work with students that need accommodations for more time, like students with disability?
That's a great question. So obviously we won't know. They just like if face-to-face, they give us, a letter or something from the Office of Accessibility so that we know particularly that student needs extra time. So that student needs to be able to communicate that with us. And then you know that you have to set your deadlines, right? But if you know particularly this one or maybe two students need extra time, then you're being less strict with when they can upload that. So if it does say late and they need a little bit more time, then it's up to you to to make sure that you either giving them the full credit or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's the only way. Like, how else would we know if a student needed the extra time until they actually communicate that with us? So it's the same thing with face-to-face. We don't know until they communicate that with us.
Jen, if I could just add, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Jen, I think that for everyone and for my online classes, with everything that's going on in New York and in the nation, I don't know, I will tell students they need to have something done within a week's time or a couple of days' time. But if they do fall behind in the maybe gearing up to understanding online learning, and also with the situation that we have right now where students might not have so much focus and they're somewhat terrified, I think I would say, if you have any questions or if there's something that I can do to help you to complete this assignment, let me know, and I can do that so that they don't get discouraged. So I would say, it's going to be okay. Maybe I can walk you through this and answer any questions that you might need to have. I've also heard of some other faculty members pairing students up if you see that someone is very skilled in using Blackboard and someone is not. So that can be something that's helpful, whether it's a hybrid or now that we're totally online.
Great, that's great. Thank you for that, Marie, for sure. We're gonna have to be a little bit lenient, right? This is for ourselves and for our students. If you imagine yourself, we're kind of stressed, and trying to figure out what we're gonna do. You can only imagine the students who have multiple courses that they now have online when they registered for the courses initially, knew themselves and said, well, I can't take an online course. I need to do this regular traditional face-to-face because I need to be in a classroom setting. So I think, Marie, thank you for that, because we gotta.
You're so welcome.
I don't think we need to I mean, personally, I don't think we should be so strict with the deadlines. I mean, we're still learning. Students are still learning.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to have some wiggle room and be flexible.
Yeah, thank you both for saying that too, because also, even when we're not in these kinds of extraordinary times, there are students that might have needs for accommodations, but might not be officially affiliated with the Office for Students with Disabilities. So I think they really appreciate it when faculty offer them opportunities to just, you know, approach you and be honest about who they are and what they need, and they know that you're willing to be there for them. It makes a really big difference for those students.
It sure does. And it kind of goes back to one of my slides about creating community. You know, having that warm kind of presence, even online, it can be felt, you know, just extending your hand. And like Priscilla said, students are extremely, they are very grateful for that.
Can I ask you, where do we see the students when they hand in the work? Where does it show? I never taught a Blackboard course before, but where does the students' work come in?
So that's a good question. So under the assignment, so I'm a student. I'm ready to answer this assignment 1 question. I click on it, and you can see once I click on it, I have some information here. Ooh, here's the due date. Oh, this is the points possible. Here's the actual instructions. And I have 2 options. And this is pretend, you know, if the faculty member. I personally, if you want to use Microsoft Word and attach the file, you can. But there is an option here.
Excuse me, Microsoft Word, I try to attach files that came out blank. I had to switch them to PDFs.
I'm not sure why. That's a technical question. I'm not sure why, without having to look at your actual document, why that happened. But
an old version of Microsoft Word, but it should have come out. It was Microsoft Word.
It should have. Yeah, that's weird. I'm not too sure why that would be the case. But from a student's perspective, if I'm a student and I'm ready to answer these series of questions, I'm answering them within this text box. So you see how initially there was nothing here. And if I clicked on the right submission, this text box appears where it allows the students to type in. So it allows students to respond here, right?
And you get each individual student?
Right, so once the student actually submits this, right, obviously I can't do it because I'm not a student, but once they press that submit button, on you, the faculty end, you would go to the grade center, right over here on the left-hand side in the black, the grade center, and you would click on needs grading. And because I don't have students, it's not going to show, but the student who just submitted something will have something right in here, okay? I wish I had like a, there we go. So right in here, you will have student name, the name of the assignment, when they actually submitted it, and time. So then you as a faculty member will actually then click on the student's name, it'll be or the assignment here, and then it'll open up to their assignment where you can read it and grade it.
Okay.
Hopefully
so you click on Grade Center, yeah. All right.
Right, so the Grade Center needs grading will show you all the items that need grading. The full Grade Center gives you just an overview of all your students. And then, I mean, you can't see here, but then as you make assignments, the gradebook creates a column for that assignment. So you see how I have assignment 1. So the students, if they completed it, and once you graded it, will show that grade there, and then the student will automatically be able to see the grade.
Now, what if you don't grade an assignment, but you have to correct their answers?
So within, that's when I would say that they should use Microsoft Word to upload that, because when you do that and when you open their assignment, you have the option to make corrections, make notes on the actual document. I wish I can show you that, but because I don't have students on here or an assignment, it doesn't really, I can't really show you how that visually would look.
Okay.
But there is an option. Just know there is an option. So I would suggest if you know, are one with your assignments where you want to make annotations and corrections or notes to the student, you can do so in the little box where where you grade. But I would suggest then to kind of tell your students to submit their assignments through Microsoft Word, so that on your end, it's a little bit easier to just on the actual document, make those types of, almost like if you were writing it, you know, by hand, you can make those types of annotations and corrections there.
Okay, thank you. I hope the word comes out.
I hope so, yes. And I mean, if you have, I mean, at this point, you know, any tech stuff, obviously we have resources for that and to help you with that.
Yes, we do. There is, Pablo, are you there? I think he might have signed off. But there's an email address that we got, which goes, we have an email that goes directly to tech support specifically around Blackboard, right?
Correct. There is an email address that I'm trying to remember. It's on one of my emails. I will make sure that I re-forward that. If you email your questions about Blackboard, that email address will automatically generate a ticket, and then IT will get back to you.
Yeah. So these are the tech questions, like why isn't my Microsoft Word doc showing up?
Yeah.
So we've come to the end of our hour, everyone. I want to thank Jen so much for this really helpful webinar. And thank you all for your questions and for your tips and helping each other as well in the chat. And keep in touch. There are a lot of good Blackboard resources. And some of them are broken down very well, almost at a granular level, like how do you use the gradebook? How do you make a test? So we'll also be sure to point you to some of those, which we have listed on our CTL blog. And I hope you'll find it useful and keep in touch.
Thank you, everyone. And like I said in my slides, you got this. Keep it simple. We'll get through this for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.